Hello everyone and welcome along to the latest racingtv.com questions and answers session. You will have seen the great work that Nick Lightfoot has been doing with some of his interviews from personalities in the United Kingdom, and the baton has passed to me to speak to some of our leading talents in Ireland. And I'm delighted to be joined on the other side of the screen by Paul Townend, the multiple champion jockey here in Ireland, and also, of course, multiple Cheltenham Gold Cup winning rider as well. Paul, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. And you?
Very good, thank you. Very strange times. I would imagine, given that there hasn't been racing for quite a while, you've had plenty of opportunity to reflect on Album Photo's success at Cheltenham last month.
Yeah, it's been well played here at home, and yeah, it's starting to sink in a bit now. It to be honest, it's taking till now to probably sink in. So we've been making use of the time we've had on our hands and reflecting on it, and yeah, what a brilliant result.
We'll speak a bit more about Album Photo a little bit later, Paul, but it was interesting because you were at Cheltenham, of course, and you were leading rider there, and then you came back to Ireland. Then the following day you were riding behind closed doors at Navan, I think it was there a huge contrast between riding Gold Cup winners and riding doubles and trebles at Cheltenham, and then coming back to Navan and riding in front of nobody?
There probably was, yeah, but to be honest, every time you come back from Cheltenham, whether it's behind closed doors or not, it's a bit of a shock to the system without the volume that's in Cheltenham. So yeah, I floated into Navan that day, and I probably didn't even notice that there was no one else there. I was still on such a high from Cheltenham.
Is there much going on in Willie Mullins's at the moment? Obviously, he's fundamentally a National Hunt trainer. Have you been into Clwyd recently, or are you sort of staying away and doing other things?
Yeah, not in there a whole lot now recently. There isn't much going on in there. As you say, the National Hunt season is over now, so a lot of them horses have gone out. He usually does keep a good team of flat horses in, but I suppose you don't have anything to work towards yet. So he's just keeping them tipping over, and yeah, it's very strange times. Usually we're getting the build up for Punchestown now. We live Aintree and Fairyhouse out of the way.
Would you ever consider riding on the flat again this summer if the opportunity came your way?
I'd love to. Unfortunately, I got a bit heavy for that a long time ago. So no, I'd love to ride in the flat. I love all racing. I've been lucky enough to ride on a couple of good horses on the flat back through the years, but I'm a bit too fond of my kitchen at the moment to allow me to ride in the flat. So if I have thought about it, but I just have to lose too much weight, I think.
Our Racing TV subscribers and members have put plenty of questions to us, and I've got the iPad here. I'm going to read out a few of them to you. The first couple of questions are going to come from Andy Stevens, Paul, and basically you had quite a few wins on Hurricane Fly back when you were a teenager. How important was that little horse to you, and did you fully appreciate it all at the time?
Yeah, Hurricane Fly was massive for my career. I had my first ride in a winner in a Grade 1 on him. I did appreciate it at the time. I knew how lucky I was to be riding him, and I was lucky enough to know him very well because I rode him out every morning at home, which was a huge addition to going into them races. And I had youth on my side at that time, and I think that it played a big part in it, that I hadn't experienced what could go wrong, and the confidence of youth kind of kicked in at that stage.
Andy also wanted to know as well, Willie Mullins always seems so calm. What is he like to work for, Paul? What's he like to ride for and to be part of the team?
Yeah, very, very fair man. Analyzes everything, leaves no stone unturned. Man of few words, but you have to listen to every one of them he says. And no, very fair, I think is the best way of putting him. When things go wrong, he has your back, and there's a good trust there. So no, he's it makes my job a lot easier having a man like him standing behind me.
Did it mean a lot to you that you were the jockey who's given him his 2 Cheltenham Gold Cup wins?
Personally, yeah. Look, a Gold Cup, I'd have taken a Gold Cup for anyone, but um, I've only ever had one job since I left school. So I went to Willys in transition year, and I haven't looked back since. So yeah, it was brilliant to be able to. Ruby didn't leave too many things left to be done. That was one of them, and it was brilliant that I was able to do it.
Frank Santilla wrote in and he was wondering, Paul, what would you consider was your breakthrough win? What was the first sort of big win that almost announced you on the scene?
I suppose the Galway hurdle for John Kiley. I had very, very little experience of riding over jumps, and John entrusted me with a well fancied horse in such a big handicap, such a valuable handicap. So I think that was probably the win I needed to build on then for the winter coming up.
Keelan McCartney was asking, is there a horse that you felt might have been a future star, but for some reason or another never quite lived up to stardom?
Oh, there's been a lot of them. We go through quite a few of them every season, but I'm lucky enough to be in the position of Willie's that he's a big number of horses coming through, and luckily enough there's a couple of them turn out to be better than average. So yeah, there's plenty of morning glories in there that we think have a better future than it turns out that they had.
Jack Kearns was wondering, we have 2 questions here from Jack. First of all, who is your favourite horse to ride out at the yard?
Oh, I don't probably have a favourite in there. I don't have my set lots. I'm in there a couple of mornings a week, and I try to ride, we'll say, during the season what's coming up in the week or fortnight ahead. So it's changing the whole time, but I do like sitting on album photo for obvious reasons in there.
And Jack's other question is, what does it feel like following in Ruby Walsh's footsteps, or I suppose filling Ruby Walsh's boots these days?
Yeah, it's a privilege is what it is, to be in the position to ride them. And he's what Willie and himself have built up in Closutton is incredible. And yeah, look, there's no other way of saying it. Only it's a privilege to be able to ride such a class of horse day in, day out.
Mike Chester, his question was, how would you describe winning your first and second Cheltenham Gold Cups? And did you have different emotions after last year's Gold Cup and this year's Gold Cup?
Yeah, very much so. It last year's Gold Cup was, we snuck in under the radar a bit, and albeit we fancied him a little bit, he wasn't the number one horse going in there by any means, and it was probably a shock when it actually happened. And I remember very, very little of it. I remember a lot more this year's one, and there was a lot more pressure going in this year with him being favourite. So they were very different, but equally as enjoyable.
And they were sort of different races as well, sort of different pace scenarios going on. So did you probably had to be a little bit more tactically aware perhaps this year than even last year? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I suppose to a point it is, but then you could say last year you could have got sucked into the battle earlier, and there were 2 completely different races. But you're never, every race you go out in is different to a race you've ridden in before. We had to do our homework relevant to what was in the race, and luckily we got the majority of it right and got the result we needed.
If Lucy Richards asks, if album photo was a celebrity, who would he be?
Oh, album photo is a celebrity in racing, so I think he can be himself.
That's a good answer. What kind of a personality has he got? Is he a kind horse, or is he?
Yeah, he's a very gentle horse actually, and nothing flamboyant about him. He he doesn't show himself off at home or at the races. To be fair, he probably only does what he has to, and he's getting the hang of the cameras being around his stable and things. But no, he doesn't show off, and we'll say he's very different to your Hurricane Fly, who'd have been prancing around the place. Look at me. He quietly gets the job done, and he has character. All horses have character, but he's a gentle horse. Yeah.
I don't know where I read, Paul. It could have been in one of her excellent books, but Henrietta Knight. I think she visited your father's yard down in Cork, round about the best mate era, and she saw you riding, and she thought you were very good, and she said she sent you. Did she send you a signed photo?
That's right. Yeah, she came to look at a horse that won a fine for Dad. She ended up buying the horse as well, which was brilliant. But yeah, it was a big thing. It was around the best mate time, and she took the time to send me a little card and signed photo of best mate after winning his first Gold Cup, I think it was. And as you can imagine, as I was probably eight or nine or maybe 10, it was a massive thing for me to get in the post, and something I still actually have. So I had to remind Henrietta of it, and she in fairness there, she actually remembered it. So no, it was a lovely gesture of her, and something that I always will treasure. And when I got it as a child, it was a massive thing to receive.
Have you spoken to Henrietta sort of since the second Gold Cup? I mean, does she think that Album Photo could be another best mate?
I speak to her on and off, yeah. So we have, and she was quick to remind me the best mate did win 3 after Album just won 2. So we'll have to go and try and rectify that, and to be nice to meet her after winning 3.
Interesting question here from Graham Glynn. He was wondering if you could pick one current jockey to join the team at Clusutton, who's not already in there, who would it be? Who do you think would be another good jockey to have on the team? Not that you're stuck for a good jockey on that team.
Exactly, and not that I want to pick another one to try and compete against in there, but who I suppose, look, Jack Kennedy Jack Kennedy's a lot younger than everybody actually thinks he is still. He's still only a kid, and the ability he has in the saddle is second to none. And he's proven it time and time again. Unfortunately, he had a shocking season this year injury wise, but he's shown how he can bounce back from it. And I think he only went to Leopardstown 1, maybe 2 days over Christmas, and was leading rider up there. So yeah, he's a natural, and he's a big future ahead of him.
Just on that point about injuries, Paul, I mean, how do you deal with it? First of all, when you're out injured and watching other jockeys riding the horses that you normally would have been riding, and even in terms of coming back, does it take quite a bit of mental strength and fortitude to, I suppose, remain in love with the game?
It does. I've been very, very fortunate that I've never missed a massive spell of time in one go. I've been lucky with injuries. So it's the pain. It's mentally sitting at home looking at it it does your head in. You want to get out there, get going, and the records speak for themselves, how quick jockeys can get back, and that's just pure mental toughness and putting yourself through it. But I suppose you have to, it's gas. You probably have to get another fall when you come back to realize and get your confidence back. And it's like a child getting a fall off a bike. Maybe the best thing to do is put them back up on it.
And I suppose you would have seen plenty from the other side as well, because when Ruby would get injured, you would step in for rides on the likes of Hurricane Fly kind of always comes to mind. And of course you were the first of your 3 championships. Was it 9 years ago, Paul?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
No, but I suppose the great thing in Willys is that if you're injured, you have a job to go back to, and that can help you during your recovery period. and loyalty is very much important, and very much to the fore in Willys.
Would you take many outside rides?
I haven't been this season. I've been quite busy with Willie. My agent Kieran O'Toole, in fairness to him, does a very good job in, just evaluating things, I suppose, risk and reward, and it's, you always want to be riding more and riding more winners, and spreading your wings and riding for as many people as you can. But it's a very important place I am at the moment, and you can't unfortunately ride if you're injured. So it's probably a lot of it's down to Kieran. He evaluates a lot of it, and does all my rides, and I have a lot of faith in what he thinks.
I suppose you don't want to be getting a fall and getting injured off some other trainer's horse and then missing out on riding Willie's horses.
Well, that's it. And you could have a good ride in a small meeting. You can get injured anytime, but you have to see what's coming up in a couple of weeks ahead, and it's just risk and reward.
Robbie sent in a question, Paul. It was, is there much difference between riding in the UK and riding in Ireland?
The tempo of the races is probably very different. I was very lucky to ride for Rebecca Curtis for a season or two when Willie didn't need me, and I learned an awful lot more about different tracks in England and just their style of racing. You go to Cheltenham and Aintree, which I was used to going to at that stage, but that's going to the creme de la creme of racing. Your midweek racing is different. It's so competitive at Cheltenham, and it's full of, half the field is probably Irish riders anyway. So you have to learn different traits of different riders in the UK. The tempo of the race is usually pretty strong in England, and you just have to adjust to their way of racing when you're over there.
Stuart Ackister was wondering if Benny the Dew and Honeysuckle had both lined up at Punchestown, which sadly won't be happening this year. Would you have done anything different? In other words, what would you have done to have gotten Honeysuckle beaten at Punchestown?
Two completely different races. As I said earlier, every race is different. Punchestown to Cheltenham, they're two completely different tracks. You'd be running on different ground. You have to evaluate every race as it comes. So yeah, you're going to change something in every race, and adjust to what's put in front of you, and ride the race that you're going riding, and not think of the one that happened just before.
Louis Parry was wondering about Faugheen. First of all, how is he, and do you know if he's likely to carry on again next season?
I don't know if he's going to carry on next season. All was good after Cheltenham. He's an incredible horse. To be still going and racing at the level he is at this stage of his career is incredible, and I suppose that goes to show the level of ability he's always had. I'd love for him to race on, but that's out of my hands, and I think there's plenty of fire in his belly. But in saying that, you just have to see what he's like when the summer grass is over.
How special was that day at Leopardstown back in February at the Dublin Racing Festival when he won?
Huge. I've never experienced a reception like it coming back in. I probably didn't appreciate it as much as I should have, or had the time to reflect on it, because we had the Gold Cup, we'll say, coming up next. So it's a quick turnaround in racing, but to see people rushing down off the stands like that and feel the energy coming out of the crowd, it was overwhelming, and I think the horse duly deserved it.
Just from, I suppose, the likes of a Faugheen to some of the up and coming ones, the likes of Fernie Hollow and Appreciated, where would you see them going next season? Obviously, the more than likely both be going hurdling, but would you have preferences as regards trips, or would Fernie Hollow be a supreme type horse, or is it far too soon to say?
Two smashing horses to go forward with, and and the two of them, you'd rather have them than try and beat them, as they say. So where they'll end up, I'd say you could be still asking that question in January with the man that trains them. But Bernie Hollow, he showed plenty of pace, I thought, off the bend in Cheltenham, and it will. They'll all sort themselves out. But yeah, they'll be two. I'm sure the two of them come next March will be prominent in the betting in both the Supreme and the Ballymore.
Ed Sheehy was asking, do you think will Classical Dream be going over fences next year? Or again, is that a question giving to Willie?
Yeah, look, these things all have to be evaluated during the summer. But yeah, look, he got no run at the season this year. You look at what's going to be in the hurdle division and the chasing division next year, what way they're going to split up. But it wouldn't be at all surprised if he was schooling and the over fences when the autumn comes around.
Ian Mezzard was wondering, how is Duvan? Have you heard any news on him?
Yeah, Duvan is tipping around there. Obviously, as I say, I haven't been in there recently, but the last time I was in there, he was still there. Horse with a huge potential, but it's just injury prone at the moment. So you have to keep the wheels on the wagon. I don't know if we ever actually seen the full potential of Duvan. Is such feel he'd give you in a race, but soundness is everything.
Would it be fair to say, Paul, he might be, and I don't want to give up on him yet, but might he be possibly the best 2 mile chaser never to win a Queen Mother if he wasn't to get one?
He could be, yeah. If he'd stayed sound, I have no doubt he had the ability to win a Queen Mother. But soundness is everything in this game. You see Undeso, Faheen, Hurricane Fly, the longevity of their careers and what they achieved, probably due to just staying sound.
Now, loads of people have been asking, which novice hurdler are you most looking forward to going chasing with next season?
Monkfish is the obvious one. I thought his performance in the Albert Bartlett was very, very good. I think he's still a raw, weak horse. I'm really interested to see how he does during the summer. I think he could be a very, very exciting horse going forward. And probably the big getaway is going to improve for jumping the fence as well. Didn't finish out his race and probably disappointed us a little bit, even throughout the season, not living up to what he was showing us at home. But I think chasing will bring about plenty of improvement in him.
And the final racing related question is from Jamie Hunt, and it is, who is the horse that you can't wait to ride when all of this COVID-19 madness is over?
At this moment in time, I can't wait to get back up on any horse. I suppose when it does change, it's going to be summer racing, different type of racing. But look, the obvious ones. I can't wait till next autumn and the stars start coming back in again, and we see how they do. The novices progress, see how they school, and that's probably the most exciting time of the year for any jockey.
You're still a young man, and it seems like you've been around forever, but I think you're only 29. Will you be 30 this year?
Yeah.
Three-time champion jockey, twice Cheltenham Gold Cup winning rider, and of course leading rider at the festival as well. What else is there left for Paul Townend to achieve? What else would you like to get on the dance card?
We'll have to do it all over again. I sure look. You'd love to win the 4 main races in Cheltenham. I'd love to win a champion hurdle, champion chase, the Grand National, the Irish National. There's plenty left for me to dream about winning. And obviously, I've been lucky enough to go to France since I started riding over jumps for their big meeting, and the Grand Steep is one that stands out over there that I'd love to have a kick at. It's as good an adrenaline rush riding over them fences as you get riding in the Grand National.
How do those fences differ from the fences we'd have back here in Ireland?
They're hugely different. Every fence is different. It's probably more like a cross country course on an oval track. I tend not to ride in the cross country races here, so it's the one taste for it I get over there, and they're massive jumps, and a good ride around there is as good a thrill as any jockey could hope for.
Away from racing, what hobbies or interests do you have, Paul? Are you a golfer?
Badly. I golf very badly, but I enjoy it. There's a good burst of us around here play a bit of golf. We go on a little holiday during the summer to get away for a couple of days. So I golf badly. I've taken up a lot of hobbies since this lockdown has come in. I've been baking, gardening, and I just moved house before Christmas, and I got a bit of land, so we're dipping our toes in the water of rearing a few calves at the moment. So it's something to keep us interested in, something something I enjoy doing, being outside outdoors.
You mentioned baking. Have you been able to buy flour recently? Because seemingly there's a hell of a scarcity of it.
Yeah, my girlfriend managed. It was in the cupboard when I went looking anyway. So I don't know where you buy flour. So no, I was lucky enough. It was there. The ingredients were here waiting for me.
So basically, there's no hope of you taking any rides on the flat if this baking continues.
You'd want to taste the bacon. I'd say I could be a flat jockey before you know it.
Very good. Well, Paul, listen, thank you so much indeed. And on behalf of everyone at racingtv.com and all of our members, thank you so much for answering all of our questions. You're a top man. And listen, stay well, stay safe. And hopefully we'll all be back racing soon, and we'll be seeing you back in the winner's enclosure before too long.
Please, God. Thank you very much.